Well, welcome, sweetie. We're so excited to have you, and I just love what you're joining us to talk about. And so, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your Genius Zone?
Oh my gosh. Well, I am Christy Beebout. Let's see. I have so much to say. Where do I start? Just turned 40. I'm super happy to be alive and so happy to be here. I'm even more excited to have a job that I absolutely, truly love. And it's not even a job. It is my favorite thing to do. And I'm obsessed with it. And I've been doing massage now since 2001. So it's been a long time. A lot of things have changed since I first learned.
Absolutely. It is an ever-changing industry.
Yes.
So,
What else do you want to know about me?
well, like our listeners don't know. Like, tell
They
us.
don't know about me. Okay, let's see. I'm not used to talking about myself. So we'll start with kind of how I ended up in this career. And it's really similar to yours, which I think is hilarious because I always was like, I'm not the person who goes to massage school who's like, I'm feeling you. I've never been like that. I'm just like very A plus B equals C. And I didn't feel like I had any sort of intuition. I was 19 years old and I didn't even know people were supposed to get naked on the terrace. They're all like, wow, you're a little girl. After I was doing massage, I loved doing aesthetics as well. So I went to aesthetics school about 2 years after that. And then I love to pop zits. I love doing it. And so I was doing both at the same time. And then I actually eventually found myself up in Denver. So I'm from a small town in Canyon City, Colorado. Shout out. And just very different life up here. So my whole perspective on every single thing I thought I knew changed the second I moved up here. My first job, I was, maybe had 2 massages a day and, was just kind of getting through it. Eventually I found an amazing job stumbled into my lap and I was able to work for a local distributor doing training for estheticians, massage therapists. And of course, being a dual license is always helpful because if, massages aren't super booked at a place, you can maybe get some facials and all of that's included. So that just kind of fell into my lap. And then I was scared to fly. I was somebody who was deathly afraid of it. I was also smoking. I was like a smoker for about 10 years. This job opportunity came up and I decided to quit smoking. And because I knew that I would pick cigarettes over flying, if I had to have a choice. So I quit that, took that job, and then just had so much experience and exposure to therapists from whether it be Ritz-Carlton, Peninsula, Four Seasons, and I had my butt handed to me so many times in so many great ways. At the time, maybe somebody asked me a question that I couldn't answer, and I was just like, I don't know all the answers. I'm in my, early 30s doing this and I was really insecure. And then finally, just obviously with experience, all these things just kind of fell into line. And then the best thing ever happened was I stumbled upon Ashiatsu.
Real quick, just to, because I already know your story and I love it so much, but just so our listeners have an easy time following, you were teaching massage and aesthetics at like some of the highest, classiest resorts internationally. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, that is so amazing. Okay, so now tell us about Ashiatsu.
Yes. So Ashiatsu. So I was working at a barber lounge because I was kind of wanting to stop travel, and my husband and I wanted to try to think about having a kiddo. And there were bars on the ceiling, and I'm like, what are these? What are these? And the owner's like, well, I'll send you. And I was like, thank goodness, because like my husband would pick me up after work, because we both worked downtown Denver, and I would literally be like this, and I'd have to go home and ice my wrists, because the guys will look you up and down and say, go as deep as you can. And I have to say, that's one of the most annoying things that I could ever hear is being a petite therapist. And I was just like, ugh. So it was my job to dig my elbow into them until I learned Ashi. I had to show them that I could give them the pressure that they wanted. And then I took the class with Ruthie Hardy, the most amazing woman on the planet. She's the founder. She's the one who brought it here. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Have you met Ruthie?
I haven't. I just wanted to, I wasn't sure if you were going to throw it in. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted everyone to know that that is the founder of Ashiatsu. So you train directly with her, and the story with her continues, and I won't jump the gun there. So just keep.
So then I met her and I took her class, and, I said, Ruthie, I have a, history in training, and I really enjoy watching people's brains work. And how they work. And she's like, I could use a TA. And I'm like, yay. So I got to TA with her for quite some time, a good couple of years, and got to see it coming from the source. So I value the methodology and what she built so greatly that I hold it into like this little ball of like love. And I'm so grateful to her. She's literally saved my career. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't using my feet. And then after that, literally after I took my first class, I never used my hands again. I went back to the barber lounge and I said, guess what, guys? I go, I don't use my hands anymore. I use my feet. And they're like, okay. And it just worked for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure it worked for them too. So yes. I learned Ashiatsu in 2008, I believe. And I was only 1 year into my career. I was working, I guess it was considered full-time, like 4 or 5 days a week at like 5-hour shifts. And same thing, like everything I do is deep tissue, structural work, and a lot of the clients are men or athletes or have like this really dense muscle tissue. Mm-hmm. And after working where I was at for like 2 months, I thought I was gonna have to quit my career. This is like year 1. And like my knee was just killing me from the way I had to lean into the table, like just shoulders, wrists, thumbs, like just everything was just not in a happy place. So they actually offered like a partial reimbursement to get trained in Ashi. And I noticed that all the people who were trained in it were booked full all the time. So I was like, yes, sign me up for that. And it does change your life. So for those of you who aren't familiar, we actually stand on the massage table and hold bars that are installed in the walls or in the ceiling above the table and use our feet to do the most amazing, deep, luxurious strokes ever. The founder, Ruthie, had actually, like, I can't remember where, was it CNN that posted they actually did research and called it the deepest, most luxurious massage on the planet. It's proven to get, what was it, like 6 times the results in the same scheduled time frame?
Well, you can get 3 times the results. And what the main thing, what happens is that engagement with the parasympathetic system, that I can put somebody out in like 5 to 7 minutes just because of my speed and my flow and the depth. It's fascinating.
So tell us more about, like, if our listeners have never heard of this, have never received it, like, tell us more about it. What does it look like? How does it feel? What are the benefits?
Awesome. So one of the biggest things too is, like, because people don't know what Ashiatsu is. So Ashi means foot and Atsu means pressure. I also explain to people, it's a new way to think about deep tissue. It's deceptively deep. I usually tell people, I'm like, there's no way with me, obviously doing this for years, I'm like, you're never going to tell me I'm at a 10 for you, because I'm really conscious of that. And I'll talk about my little analog scale too, because it's not just a massage that you just get to like go sleep with. Not all the time, I'll put you out, but you have to get feedback. The most important,
just because you said I'm not at a 10. So for people who are thinking like 1 to 10, well, she's telling us she's not at a 10. That's not what she's saying. What she's saying is a pain scale. And
yes.
So you want to be at about a 7, 7.5 is your ideal. Like, oh my gosh, that hurts so good. I feel so juicy. I could just go to sleep and just melt on this table. Just turn me into butter.
Right.
Anything above that is where it starts to get painful, starts to get uncomfortable, where your muscles start to tense or resist against the work that's being done. And so I just wanted to give people a really clear idea that the work is a 10. Like, it is the best massage you will ever have in your entire life. If you have,
it's a 20.
It resets the bar and that wasn't even on purpose. It resets the bar for what massage means and what you can really get out of it.
It really does. So like going back to that, so if I see a client for the first time, I say, okay, Bill, I'm going to tell you an analog scale, 1 being a butterfly, which is creepy, and then 10 being a bulldozer, which is awful. And I usually say 6s and 7s are perfect. If you tell me 8, I know I've gone a little bit too deep. But because of the foot is so broad and it's a weight-bearing structure, these are not. So that makes all the difference, right? So it's like you're able to adjust, and I teach this as well. But it's so amazing and padded, and the foot really does fit perfectly into any spot of the body. Anywhere. I can do absolutely everything that I can do with my hands. I can do it with my feet. Of course, that took years of practice, but I can do it.
Yeah, the way the foot is shaped, the size, the fact that it's curved, like our heel is round, our fingers are bony, our elbow is bony. It really, the foot is contoured in a way that makes it the ideal massage tool. And so for people who are afraid, like, oh my gosh, this girl's just standing on me and like putting her weight on me, can you kind of explain and kind of soothe some of those fears? Because they are illusion, they're not real.
Absolutely. Yes, because, you know, when you think about it too, so for the most part, you won't even know it's a foot. It's just going to feel like this amazing, just luxurious melting, putting butter on the bread, if you will. Like I said, I do check in a lot. I have a lot of things to say about this. Hold on just really quick. I want to make sure I get all of my thoughts straight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back real quick. I'm gonna say, so when a client comes in, they're not even really gonna know what's happening. My bars are right above my head at a 90-degree angle. I'm only using one foot. I mean, unless it's a client that I need to do 2-footed strokes on, I'm just using the 1 foot. So I can easily get on and get off very quickly as far as pressure goes. You won't hear me walking or stomping around the table. If anything, we're like light little butterflies. We can also incorporate some Ashi Thai stretches in. We can also include some like myofascial release as well, because these are all just tools that I've learned with my feet to create my amazing flow and my amazing routine, that I obviously mix it up all the time, because you don't want cookie cutter massages. You want people to get really creative in their work. And most of the time people, like I said, they fall asleep. I have rarely ever heard of any post-massage soreness from receiving Ashi. So that's a huge difference. With deep tissue, you might wake up. I woke up sore one day. I felt like I was bruised. I enjoyed the work when it was being done because I understood what was happening. But if I was not a massage therapist and I went home and I feel bruised and sore, I'm not going to really want to get that again.
Right.
So that's a huge thing.
The worst for me is when I get a massage, and I'm the same way, you know, us massage therapists, it's like, okay, I know what this is doing, so I'm just going to take the pain. But then when you get up off the table or wake up the next day or even 2-3 days later, if you feel like you need a massage again, then it was not the right approach. So that Ashiatsu just eliminates all of that guesswork and just brings it into, yes, we can be deep, therapeutic, relaxing, luxurious. Ashiatsu actually is offered in high-end 5-diamond resorts. So anywhere from chiropractic clinics to 5-diamond resorts, you can get this type of work done. But tell us more. Tell us about some of your client wins.
Oh my gosh. So I have to tell you, most of my experience does come from my students and their clients. So, I mean, I've got a select handful of clients that I see, but the real cool thing for me is I get to be in class. Obviously before I was taking classes of 8, now I take light classes of 4, maybe 6, not even that. But I love to watch I listen to the feedback that the therapist is giving the practitioner. And every time I hear something or every time I see something, I learn something new. So I'm able to collect all this data without having my feet on a client. So when it's time for me to see a client, boom, it's like things just turn on. And I remember the feedback that somebody gave to somebody else. And it's just all this information that I get to have inside my brain and then keep it for like the next class. One of the biggest things is going to be postural alignment. I'm even sitting kind of bad right now too, but we're all sitting, especially, you know, lately everybody's working from home. This is really going to help elongate the spine. When you think about when a foot can go from, here's the sacrum, and a foot can go from the sacrum and go all the way through the lumbar, all the way through the thoracic, and all the way up to the neck, you're going to have some really nice results with that type of movement. And a lot of times people, like I said, they're not sore. They can feel, if they don't drink enough water, they are going to feel it. I mean, we're detoxifying the body at a really fast pace.
Level.
level. Yes. It really, I mean, it goes so, and when you think about like my whole body weight going up somebody's leg, bringing the blood back up to the heart, that's powerful. I mean, when you get down on the floor and you try to do the same thing with your hands, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. So there is a huge component with like education with clients with that too. And one of our instructors, Lynn Smet, she highlighted to me, she said, a lot of people are drinking a lot now. So we have to be aware of that when people are coming in for massages, and kind of, understand that, not say anything, but kind of guide them into, hydrating and taking more care of themselves during all these crazy stressful times too.
Yes, I love that. And I love that conversation is happening. And thank you so much for bringing that up. That yes, clients, us practitioners are paying attention to your habits changing. Like Corona, people are drinking more, they're eating worse, they're not exercising as much. Yes, your healthcare practitioners, or at least the conscious ones, are paying attention to these things and considering these things without you even having to say a word. Mm-hmm. And so tell us about some of the wins that your students have had. And just to clarify, so you were seeing clients full time, mm-hmm. and then you kind of took over the business, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But now you mostly teach and then have a handful of your own clients. Is that right?
Yeah. So I took over Ruthie's territory. And when she kind of decided to finally, relax for a bit. Now she's living up in the mountains. She's loving life. She's doing her thing. So when I took over, I'm like, ooh, I get your territory. Yeah, I love it. It was an amazing thing. So one of the biggest things is what I see the win for the clients and the therapist is way less work for the therapist to give. All about that. I think the author, he wrote it in and it's really incredible how powerful even just a compression on the tissue can work. People with hip problems, people with shoulder problems, and me as the therapist, I'm not exerting any effort. I can do one stroke very slowly with limited cream or lubrication, and I can yield the same results as somebody using their hands and trying all these different techniques for 15, 20 minutes. So the clients are experiencing no pain while they're getting their therapy done. And the massage therapist is not experiencing any pain and frustration while they're trying to get the work done. So there's a cool thing that happens when those two things marry, and when somebody is not exerting force on an object, trying so hard to relax it and loosen it, that creates, that friction, that frustration. I hated doing massage with my hands. People could probably pick up on that. So once I'm on the table, and it takes practice to be able to feel really, really comfortable, it's like you're getting paid to work out when you learn Ashi, as you know. You're getting paid to work out. But that would be the biggest thing. Less time, less pain while they're receiving the massage. I've seen great results with hip and joint. I'm a mom who had my 9-pound baby about 4 years ago. Messed up everything. One student in one of my advanced classes it was a couple months ago, she did something on me that I've never done before. And she just did a position, and she stood on this, and I'm not kidding you, boom, it was fixed. I've been suffering with that for 3.5 years of this problem in my low back and in my hips. And with just her positioning my leg in a certain way and putting her body pressure on it, it completely relieved it. So a lot of those types of situations, the girls are so excited to tell me. The biggest thing for them is that I always tell them, I'm like, I care about your clients, but I care about you more as a therapist. I want them to feel good. I want them to have good body mechanics. I want them to do this for as long as they can, it's huge.
About Ruthie, tell us about why Ashiatsu, how did this even start, this crazy idea of massaging with your feet and these bars? Tell us about Ruthie's backstory.
Yay! I love telling about Ruthie. Okay, so she used to work on the set of Married with Children. Some people know what that is. Some people don't. I'm always surprised people have never heard of it. I'm like, you're too young. No. Al Bundy. So she was working on the set, and she would, do different, I've heard a few stories. She doesn't really dive into it a whole lot. But I've heard a few stories, she would do odds and ends things, go get food for the cast or go do something. And it was at the end of a work week, and this is in 1995, maybe even 1994 actually, but she was, at the end of the day, a big guy that works on the set comes and he's like, I need a massage. And she's like, ugh. At the end of the day, the biggest guy comes and wants a massage, right? Deep tissue. It's like, as a therapist, we're like, no, because you're so tired. Well, she was exhausted and she's like, well, and she looks up in the ceiling and she just was like, psh. She grabs it, it's like in the rafter, she grabs something to hold on to and she stands on the table and she slaps some cream on her foot and she just starts massaging him with her foot. And that's how it was born. And then she goes, I want to go learn more about this. She looked everywhere. Nothing existed. Nobody was using their feet with lubrication with parallel bars on a raised table. So she did the legwork. She made sure that things were safe. She talked to a lot of doctors, consulted with people. I mean, we have to talk about things like breast implants and the therapist who's standing on a table with, you know, up to their full body weight in pressure, what can happen. So she did all the legwork. And that's basically how it was really truly born. Was she's a self-proclaimed lazy therapist.
But also, didn't she have insane back issues? And so her physical body was experiencing so much through the spine that she actually would not be able to continue doing massage in the traditional way with your arms and your hands, because her back just wasn't going to allow her to do that. Mm-hmm. She, rather than just leaving the industry, she found a new way, a better way. And now tell us how big the Ashiatsu community is. Approximately how many therapists, or can we find this all over the world? Like, tell us about it.
You can find it all over the world. We've got thousands of graduates. I don't know the exact number, but it's really growing. I get to see it in my classes because people are just, therapists are like, some of them just started, some of them are about ready to leave their careers. We need more massage therapists. We need more good massage therapists, you know, quality to take care of our other humans on the planet. You know, we're in real need. I don't know if have you received, I'm sure you probably received massage. Have you received lately? Do you get massage often?
I only found out recently because I moved from Austin, which is like Ashiatsu everywhere, to my hometown in Utah. And it took time to actually like even find people who were doing it. Like my first Google searches yielded nothing, but then all of a sudden I found the right thing, and there are like 3 or 4 people in my area. So even my weird little hidden town, like in Utah, like there are 4 or 5 businesses around me within 20 or 30-minute drive that offer Ashiatsu. You might have to go hunting for it, but it's absolutely worth hunting for. Tell us about, is there like an online directory or a search? Like how can someone find, because you don't want to just go to anyone who's claiming that they can do this. You want to go to somebody who's had the medical training. Like Christy was sharing with us, Ruthie put a lot of medical research and legwork into finding out how to do this in a safe and appropriate way. And so where can we go to find the right people?
Yeah, you've got to go to deepfeet.com and then you'll just click on find a therapist. But not everybody that does it is on the website. So, right. You know, some people aren't listed, but yeah, you got to hunt them down. And there's also other great companies that teach Ashiatsu as well. I'm all about spreading the love. Everybody should learn this. Everybody needs to learn this so let me tell you something really funny too. So I just did a training with a spa down in Colorado Springs. It's called Sunwater Spa. Love it. They actually paid for their therapist to take Ashi. I got to train 12 people that sat in my class and they didn't know what they signed up for. It was amazing. They were like, nobody had seen it. Nobody had received it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. One girl, she goes, I have to be honest. She's like, I'm not excited about this. I'm like, thank you. It's like, be honest. I go, I promise you, your mind's going to change. Yeah. Because after they receive it, they're like, that's the best massage I've ever had. And I'm like, she just learned it today. Isn't that amazing? It's natural. It's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be the foot.
And what I love about it is because as massage therapists, you know, we're told to make it our own when we learn all of these different protocols. They say, make it your own. But so many people are so afraid to step out of the box that it feels very like robotic, like a robotic cookie cutter protocol. And this brings the artistic back into it, because for the therapist, you're not just using like these repetitive same motions, not using the same muscles. When you're holding the bars up above you, this is a full body experience. You can take your foot on the one foot on the client and in one stroke go from their big toe all the way up to their head. You can't do that in any other modality. You're not going to get another guest that we just did the recording with, we talked about how much of our energy comes from movement. And so as the therapist, when you are using more of your body and generating more movement, you're only going to get more results. And so, and it's more fun, it's more creative. You can be on, when the client's face down, you can be, you know, in their low back or hips and like dancing on the table, and they have no idea what you're doing. And it's like an acrobatic yoga dance experience. It's so much fun, and it's absolutely just so career changing. Like, I cannot reiterate that enough. I went from working like 20, 25 hours a week in my first year thinking I was going to quit. And then after learning Ashiatsu, I was a single mom. There was a period of time I had to work 50 hours a week doing massage.
Oh my gosh.
I have been able to do that. Yeah, like massage therapists are like, what? That's like an insane amount of massage. But I was able to do it because it was all Ashiatsu.
Yes! It's the best. It's the best ever. And then after I learned Ashi, one of our graduates I was telling you about too, Jiva, she came up with a different way. I love this. Everybody come up with ways that work better. She came up with a different way. She's like, instead of the bars, I want to incorporate the silks. And then they came up and they came up with this. They licensed the equipment, they licensed the silks, and it's all myofascial based. So there's incredible innovation that you can have and get. I'm actually working with another student. I can't even say what we're working on, but using even more than just the foot to do certain things. It's powerful, and it's all about getting creative. And the reason why sometimes therapists get so cookie cutter like this, number one, they're not receiving.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If you don't receive, and it's not about, I'm getting a massage today. It means that's your education. That's how you learn what not to do on somebody is number one. You know, you're like, oh, that didn't feel good. I need to make sure that in communication and talking with the client, my clients guide me to be a better therapist. We have a relationship. You know, one of my clients, Ryan, I'm like, you tell me, my feelings will never get hurt. Let's get creative. What do you need worked on? And then I'll do things in an Ashi, and you probably do this too. I've done things and I'm like, I don't even know where that came from. And I have never done it again. It's because you're up there and you're dancing, and it's incredible and it's powerful. And I worked on my old dance teacher because I used to do dance whenever I was younger, and I had her come up. I'm like, you got to try this. And she got like teary-eyed. She's like, you're still dancing. I'm like, I am.
Oh, I love that so much. Yes, it's just, and it also makes me feel, and I feel like this with Lymph also, but like the person in front of me is clay and I'm a sculptor. Like, you come into me in this jumbled ball of pain and inflammation and angry tissues and bad posture, and it's okay, just lay down, let me just work my magic, and when you walk out of here, you're going to be in a completely different state, just like a vase comes from clay. And so I just love everything that you're talking about and how you talk about it. Tell us a little bit about, because Ruthie was so smart when she did this and when she started taking instructors on. So when she went from it just being her thing to training more people and training people how to train more people, she didn't just say, okay, here's a free-for-all. And so explain to us how the areas and the regions work.
Oh my gosh, these are questions I don't know if I can answer 100%. Nancy would be the better one to kind of talk about that. But we've got instructors.
Like I'm not going to go to, like right now, the closest city to me is Salt Lake. So I'm not going to go to Salt Lake and find 10 Ashiatsu instructors.
Right, no. Right, perfect. So yeah, we have different territories. I am right now obviously the only one in Colorado. We've got a few on the West Coast, a few on the East Coast, and some sprinkled in within. Typically it starts off with therapists that like, they gotta work real hard. They have to, if they really want to be an instructor and if they're in the right location, they can do it. And it's, yeah, like you said, it's for Ruthie to give her baby up and that this is her baby. give it up in a certain way and let other people kind of take it and grow with it. That must have been really hard for her too, I would imagine, just because she wants to keep it so close and it is so powerful. But yeah, instructors, I've got girls that a lot of people always want to be instructors, but then they realize what kind of goes into it, because you have to have the setup, you have to first of all, be in the right location. I know a great woman who could be a great teacher, but she's too close to me. And until the company gets, and it will get that big one day, because this is just growing. More people are coming and they're like, I've been thinking about this for years. I have to do it. I have to find a different way to do things. So yeah, we're kind of sprinkled out and about. I think there's like maybe 15 of us now, maybe 12 to 15.
In the United States, or is that worldwide?
We don't have worldwide educators as of yet, no.
So when you say you can get Ashiatsu worldwide, that's people who've traveled, trained with you, and gone home to their home countries to offer this.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Spreading it, I love it. And it's like people are coming from everywhere, small towns, big towns. I've got one girl that works up in Burlington, and she's the only one that does it, but people, they don't have a problem with it, because I think too the biggest thing is like the stigma with the feet, and then we have to kind of talk about that sometimes and kind of get through it and talk more about, you want your therapist to feel good while they're working on you.
Tell us about the hygiene, just for the listeners who are like, oh my gosh, like this sounds awesome, but ew, gross, like I don't want feet on me. So let's break that down a little bit.
Awesome. Well, feet don't spread disease, so my feet are very clean. Feet are usually cleaner than hands, depending. But we always do like a nice hot, like really warm soap foot bath at the foot of the table before we start. I also have like my spray that has water, alcohol, and like essential oils that I spray afterwards to disinfect. Every therapist has a slip-on shoe that they can easily sanitize, so any sort of a sandal, and that sandal is sanitized as well. So as a therapist, if I have to get down off of the table once my feet are sanitized, I step into a flip-flop that belongs to my client because it's been sanitized for you, and those are also not outside shoes. So we're very particular about it, as well with afterwards, cleaning, spraying constantly, of course, as we did before, but we're doing it now as well. So the feet are very clean and completely hygienic, but I'm not doing facials with my feet, so don't worry.
Yeah, I do want to, I'm glad you brought that up. That yes, we're not sticking our toes in your face, even though I had a boyfriend that I did that on once. I massaged his in here with my toes and he like fell asleep. It was so fun.
What? I've actually never done it. I haven't done it yet.
Happened. And so yes, just to reiterate that everything is so sanitized. And I remember my first day in Ashi class, right? So I studied with Jenny Spring, and she was like, it's obvious, like if you have dry or cracked feet, like the client's gonna feel that. It's gonna feel like sandpaper on their body. And I was like, oh my gosh. And my feet were pretty good, but I like went home and I soaked for like an hour in like the hottest water that I could. And then I just used those foot things and just sanded them down. And so Ashiatsu therapists, because you live in oil and you live in lotion and product, like your skin is so soft. We take extremely, like we're highly conscious of our toenails, of our having soft, clean feet. Like everything is like you, and most of my clients, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, is one of my favorite things to hear, because we're so ninja at getting up onto the table that when you start using your feet and a client realizes that you're using your feet and they're like, oh, I thought that was your hand the whole time. So that's one of the most fun things, is when it feels so good that clients like don't even realize that the therapist is using their feet. So there's just endless benefits all around. And so I know you're particular about who you take on as your own client because you mostly teach. So like you teach, are you all of Colorado?
Yes.
Awesome. And so if people wanted to sign up with you or sign up in their area, like is that all on deepfeet.com, or where do they go?
Yeah, that's all on deepfeet.com. So if there's any massage therapist, or if anybody knows of a massage therapist that's just looking for a change, we also have an instructor in Hawaii, which is not a bad place to go for class. I'm just saying. People also sign up for master's programs so they can take all of our classes, because once they take one, they really want to take them all because they become obsessed. So yeah, everything's on deepfeet.com. You can find a therapist. You can see what it actually looks like, because it's really hard for us to describe what this is like until somebody actually sees like a video of it. Don't like YouTube it. Sometimes there's unprofessional things on YouTube with Ashiatsu. I don't know if you've done that or not, but there's not some good, not great videos that are up. So look at like deepfeet.com or sargabodywork.com as well, because it does explain everything, and it kind of shows what's out there and what's available and who's doing it.
Yes, I highly, highly, highly recommend watching the videos, the professional videos on deepfeet.com. The pictures, oh my gosh, it's so much fun, and you're immediately jealous of the person on the table. You're like, I want that to be me, like yesterday, right now. Where can I go right now? And so what was I going to say? Oh, as with every episode, whether you're on YouTube or on the podcast, we will have all of the links down below in the comments and in the description, so that it's super easy for you guys to find more information, to watch those videos, to book, to find an instructor in your area. But seriously, like, take it from two people who've been doing body work for their entire careers. If you're not doing Ashiatsu, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like invest in yourself, invest in your career, invest in your clients. If you want to do this, some people are massage therapists as a stepping stone. They're like, I just need to get from where I'm at to where I'm going, and I need a career in the middle. So even if it's just that, why not do your body the favor and like be able to strengthen all of your muscles, come out looking toned and fit, and just deliver the best massage that you possibly can without jeopardizing your own posture.
We don't have to give everything, you don't. I literally, when I'm working, it doesn't even look like I'm working. You're using your nose over that gravity, and you're feeling through the muscle. And some people too, they're like, how much can the foot really feel? It's like 70,000 nerve endings. That's how many. I mean, my foot has always been way better than my hands have ever been, because when I'm using my hands, I'm up here because I'm not happy. And I don't want to work on you. I don't want to massage you with my hands. And so like, it was funny too. I'm so much of a better massage therapist now because I'm happy, and you get paid to work out, you guys. Seriously, it's the best way to get in shape and get paid.
It's the best alternative. Like, there is no other way, because let's be honest, it doesn't matter if you're working 5 hours a week or 25 hours a week. If you're using your hands, you're burned out. You don't want to go to the gym. Like, that's like the last thing you want to do is go do more physical stuff. And so you get to do all, like, both in one time investment, one energy investment. It's so beautiful. And the client doesn't feel like you're sitting there like using their massage as a workout. It's the seamless flow. It's just the natural result of doing Ashiatsu is being fit. It just goes together. And that being said, are there any like contraindications as far as clients, like who would not want to get this massage? And what kind of massage therapist, like, is there a weight limit? Like what, as far as becoming a trained Ashiatsu therapist, because it is a physical experience, are there any like stats, like what's the
prereqs, like you have to, okay, good. These are great questions. I'm so glad you brought this up. So I actually had an interesting conversation with one of my students. Her name is Catherine Caddy. And so when I taught her, she was just talking, she was just self-conscious about, we all are self-conscious about something, all of us. I have people asking me. One of the things she said to me, she goes, people look at me, and she's like, they look at me and they're like, you're going to stand on me? And she's like, yeah, she can stand with both feet on my sacrum, and I don't know who's on me, and it doesn't hurt. She's safe. She's very strong. So weight-wise, she's my favorite therapist because she has the weight. You know what I'm saying? It's actually benefits. So she was also a dancer. She's very strong. She's very fit. She's got a lot of muscle. So that's one of the biggest things, is like, you just need to be able, there's really not. I mean, some people want to be a little bit below because they feel self-conscious, and I completely understand that. But the best Ashi I've had has been from bigger therapists. That being said, we're not going to say, no, you can't come, but you do want to be at a certain fitness level to a certain extent, because it's really hard work. And then I tell everybody, I'm like, okay, so if you tell a doctor that he has to now learn his job with his feet, he's going to go, what? I mean, you go blah, blah, blah. So it's already confusing. There's so many components that go into it. I see people like, what is going on? What did I just learn? Because there's so much happening. So yes, none of that. The only time we have like a prerequisite is for like our advanced classes, which is like our Deepfeet 2 class. And you just need to be able to hold yourself up in your bars for like 6-8 seconds. You need to have enough upper body strength to be able to get up and off of somebody. That's the main thing. And of course, the more in shape you are, the better. But I've also taught people that are yogis that have teared up a bit in class because they realize that it is more physically demanding than what they had thought. As far as clients receiving it, you want to have healthy tissue. That's number one, right? That's going to be the biggest thing. No recent injuries, accidents, or surgeries. You know, if you've got osteoporosis, if you've got some of those pre-existing conditions that are just there, you have to be aware as a therapist. I always say, follow the guidelines in your state. I have a lot of people that come from out of state. So there's all kinds of weird, funky guidelines. Like one girl, she couldn't expose the glute to work on it. And we're all like, we're just like scratching your head, like, how? So she had to adhere to the law of her state.
From Utah?
Is it Utah?
It might be. Utah has super weird, like, super weird rules.
Come on, man. But yeah, basically I tell everybody, every therapist, I'm like, think about what you ask a client when they want deep tissue. Contraindications go for the same thing with Ashiatsu. Exact same thing. So you always have to keep that in mind. Yeah, so there's so many different things that are just happening with people. And I actually think it'd be interesting for you to talk to Catherine. She's also a social worker as well. And she is so creative as a therapist that she brings all these really cool components in. And I loved that she talked about bigger therapists because half of them are bigger therapists. Like, you don't have to be small to do this, you guys. Like, don't make that stop you. Don't ever make that stop you ever. Because everybody can do it.
Yay, I love that. Okay, so real quick, let's just recap who are the best clients for Ashiatsu. Obviously, men, anyone who loves deep tissue, anyone who's an athlete, anyone who's looking for structural support. Give us some more.
All of that. I think the biggest thing was, so I did I trained some of the 49ers massage therapists last year. And yeah, and they're used to working on these 350. I was just like jealous. I'm like, I don't care if you're a football player. I want a body that's that big on my table because I used to run from them. And now I'm like, come see. If I see a big guy, not so much with masks because it's weird, but before all this, if I saw a big guy in a store, I would give him my card. I'm like, this is going to sound so weird, but you're the biggest guy I've ever seen. I need to see if I can give you deep tissue. Because they're the ones who go to Massage Envy, nothing against Massage Envy, but they're like getting their deep tissue there. And you're just like, those people don't want to massage you. They don't. I do. I use my feet and my body weight. So yes, anybody who's looking for anything, stress, like with what you do with everything with the lymph, I have to learn more. I'm like obsessed with this now. I've been reading up on it. I'm like, you must look at bodies and see them and go, I can reshape you. That has to, like you said, the clay. I was going to ask you, do you just look at people and go, I could make you feel and look different?
The way that I see it is everyone has an optimal, ideal shape. And if you're not familiar with my work, I get huge results with weight loss, anti-aging in like record time, like 1 to 2 sessions. I've had people look up to 18 pounds, look up to 25 years younger. So I'm never looking and judging at people. It's not through that.
Right, no.
It's always what I do see is I see lymphatic imbalance. So in the skin, what does that look like? It looks like large pores. It looks like wrinkles. It looks like dark circles under the eyes. All of that, under the jaw, double chin, all of these things. Loose skin looks like cellulite, or lymph imbalance under the skin looks like cellulite. Lymph imbalance underneath the muscle, it looks like fat. Our idea of what fat is kind of a lie. It's just misplaced lymph. And so, yes, I do view the body as clay. Like, I can just sculpt you into the shape your body wants to be naturally. And it's so interesting because it can go multiple ways. So I work with the face, I work full body, and I work with the breast. And so I've had women with huge, heavy, just very uncomfortable breasts. And after 5 sessions, it looks like they've had a natural breast reduction. Like there's no scars, everything's perky, everything's lifted, everything's glowing, like their skin is glowing. It just looks so much more youthful and vital and healthy. But then at the same time, I've had clients who have like an A cup and they look bigger and fuller and more lifted. And so it's whatever your body is supposed to be optimally, without inflammation, without, like if our muscles are all toned and our skin is all toned right on top of those muscles, anything else is just misplaced lymph. So I'll even use my face. My face is kind of driving me crazy lately because I have lymph. It's harder to work on yourself. I can't do it, but it's harder. And so right now my face is very round, but when some of this lymph deflates out of it, I have more of a jawline. I have like so much more tone here. This is so much more like flat and like, I don't know how else to say this, like more model looking. Like I look more like I could be a model, where this is very round. And I've had clients who have like football shaped heads. It's kind of pointed up here, gets very big in the middle and comes back down here. It's just a big lymph bubble all through here. And so what does that do? It messes up our vision. I've had clients who have, I can't make you see better, but if over time your vision has gotten blurrier, boom, I can clean that up in like 5 minutes. I've had a client who was on the table for 15 minutes. She didn't even get undressed. She came to an open house and she just was one of my demo bodies. And in 15 minutes, her vision was better. And she was like, oh my gosh. And so insomnia, stress, our brain affects our personality. And so just like
then we see it like in a mirror and you're like, this isn't me. And then, but you don't know why it doesn't feel like you. And I mean, honestly, I've never heard of lymph being like that, like how you're describing. I've just never really dived into that. I'm fascinated.
Talking about it. That's why you've never heard it, is even the Lymphatic Institutes, other practitioners. That's why I wrote a book on it. It's going to be released in January. But it's over 350 pages. There's over 600 images and infographics. And I've explained everything about, like, I won't go into too much detail, but most lymphatic therapists work with 3 main layers. There is a 4th layer that is 90% of the lymphatic system, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's working with it. Nobody's addressing it. But when you do, oh my gosh, the things that you can accomplish in record time are incredible. And what that does for the client's, like, personality. So for example, like you can even be super fit. Like I've had clients who are 90 pounds soaking wet and they come out looking better, feeling better, if their goal is to put healthy weight on, they're able to do that faster. Like I had one client who was like, yeah, I wasn't trying to lose weight. Now I'm 10 pounds lighter. Thanks. And I was like, hit me up in a week. She was a very intense athlete, worked out 6 days a week with a like super intense trainer. She texted me at the end of the week and she was like, oh my God, girl, I beat my personal record in every single thing I did every day at the gym this week.
Oh my God.
So your body just works better. And so think about what the power of that combined with Ashiatsu. And so if you're like, all of a sudden you've primed your body, so mentally, emotionally, physically, things are just able to move, able to sit happy. One thing I talk about that I haven't heard anybody else say either is how lymph gets trapped, like these pockets of lymph get trapped in the bones, like between, if say, my neck, for example, it pops a lot. So I've seen a chiropractor a lot for that. Well, I was going 4 or 5 times a week at one point because I worked there, so he'd just crack me every day at the end of the day, and it would never freaking hold. And I was like, what is happening? I was doing physical therapy exercises, like it just would not hold. Well, lo and behold, I learned lymph. Well, there was a trapped lymph bubble between my vertebrae, and so no matter how many times he put it back, this bubble is just pushing it back out. But when you eliminate the bubble, well, now all of a sudden my vertebrae can sit like this, and I didn't need to go back to the chiropractor for 6 months.
How did you discover that?
What was that?
How did you discover the lymph bubble?
So I got thrown into Lymph. I was working for a woman who, like I was leaving, I was working at a spa who wouldn't let me do Ashi. And so, yeah, boo! And so I found a woman and her whole business, and it was small, but it was her and 3 other therapists, and her whole thing was Lymph. But then she had one room that had Ashi bars in it because she had done the training. So she was looking for an Ashi therapist, and I was like, me. So I started working with her, and then like 2 months later, she was going out for major surgery. She was going to be out for like 3 or 4 months, and all 3 of the other girls quit all at the same time. So I was like literally the only one. And she's like, you're taking over the whole schedule. You need to learn Lymph like yesterday. And so I found a 12 CEU hour course online, and I just did it in like 1 day just to like get through it. And so on paper, I could say that I was trained in Lymph. And then for about a month and a half before she went out, we just worked on every single client together. And so I remember it was about a week into us doing this, and we were on a woman who had just come out from breast surgery. So all of this woman's clients were coming from Westlake Dermatology, which is one of the like leading plastic surgery centers in Austin. And so basically everyone that we were seeing was coming from some kind of cosmetic surgery. Mm-hmm. And so we're on this woman who came from breast implants. I'm on one side, she's on the other, and she's making all these weird faces at me. You know, it's like a 2-hour session, and she's just like giving me these weird looks the whole time. So I'm like sweating bullets, like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? What's happening? And so we switch sides at the halfway mark. And then at the end, we walk out to like let the client get dressed. And she's like, what were you doing? Because it's not what I was trained in. Like, it's not what I know Lymph to be. But what I was doing wasn't working. So when I tried to copy what you were doing, it was working really well. And when we traded sides, I didn't need to do anything because you had already gotten everything. And I was like, this woman is one of the highest trained, like Lymph has like stages. So I think it's like 5 or 6 levels of like how high you can go up in learning Lymph. She was at like 5 or 6, and she'd been doing it for over 20, like it might have even been 40 years. Like she'd been doing it forever. And she's telling me this after a week of me knowing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm onto something here. So I dive into all of the research, and I just start looking at every massage modality that I can. I'm among the highest trained massage therapists internationally. I have training in over like 45 different modalities or something like this. And so I just started looking, and I have all my textbooks. I have everything from school. I was like OCD about keeping everything. And so I went through everything that I have and did tons of Google research and all of that and found everything that I could about the Lymph. And I just put it into my own protocol and started getting results. And it was so funny what happened with that woman, because she was like, you should start doing that here at the office, because I was working for her, and then I had my own thing going on the side. So this was all for my business. And she's like, why don't you do that here? Like, I was like, okay, like, let me, like, it's a way higher price point. So like, let me cut you into the profits of this. No. Like, she was making good money. She just like wanted to see me grow, was what it sounded like. She's like, this is your thing. Like, you can just do it. Well, after 2 weeks, I'm like 99% sure I was making more money than her. And she got all mad and she fired me. And so it was so hard, because I had just signed, because I'm at this point, I had never gone out on my own. I had always been working as a therapist under someone. Mm-hmm. And at this point, this is like the most money I've been making in my career. So I had just signed a lease to like on a house that was like twice as expensive as I was paying before. So I had all of these financial commitments, and I was like, shoot. So I just opened one of the rooms in my house as like my treatment room. And I'm not kidding you, my first month I made over $10,000 working 15 hours a week. And I had never made that kind of money. I was working 50 hours a week to make $2,000, $3,000. Wow. Ever able to pay my bills. You know, as a single mom, I just like literally like could barely put food on the table. And so doing this like transformed everything for me, because okay, just like Ashi changes your career, that's exactly what Lymph does too. Even though you are using your hands, you're not hurting yourself. You're able to accomplish so much more when you have the right perspective. And so there came a point, ever since I learned Ashiatsu, I have always had bars. Like, I lived in apartments. Like, I had bar like installed into the ceiling. I had bars in like 3 or 4 different apartments. I had bars in my house. Like, anytime I moved, I installed Ashi bars. And so, and same thing with my offices. My offices always had Ashi bars. And so there came to be a point after I learned Lymph where I was able to spend like however long I needed to. I love long sessions. So like, you cannot book me for less than 90 minutes, and I love 2 hours. And so I would do like a good 90 minutes of like Lymph and getting everything so happy, and then do 30 minutes of Ashi. And oh my God, like, I can't even tell you, like, I've had, I don't really want to name drop, but I worked with Jimmy Vaughn, like professional guitarist, like weekly, like 2-3 times a week for like 9 months. And after like 1 or 2 sessions of combining Lymph with Ashi, he was having like all of this, you know, repetitive motion stuff in his hand. Like, guitar was getting hard and uncomfortable. And we're like, this is what you do. Like, that's not okay. And in like just a couple of sessions of combining Lymph with Ashi, like, his pain went from like a 9 to like a 1. And it was staying. And he just kept coming in because like, that's what he does for work. And he wanted to stay in a good place. And so, like, if it's good enough for professionals, like, he came in specifically for me to do his arms and his hands because that's what he uses for work. If it's good enough for someone like that, like, it's good enough for us who, like, all of the people who like aren't that amazing. Like, I don't play the guitar every single day for 20 hours a day, you know?
Right.
And so if you like, but a lot of us work at the computer for that long, like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's amateur level or professional level, like, lymphatic will help you and Ashi will help you. And yeah, I could talk about this all day. And so I will explain just a little bit that in the next episode, I will be talking a lot about how Lymph relates to everything that we talked about on this call. And so episodes always come out in pairs. There's you talking about your genius zone, and then I relate your genius zone to Lymph in the follow-up episode. And so you being so interested in learning more, I definitely recommend listening to all of those episodes.
I'm on the Lymph train now. I'm on the Lymph train. I said I've never been interested. I'm on it. I'm buying your book. I'm going to learn this. I'm dead serious. I have to. You're inspiring me to do this. I have to.
Thank you. I love it so much. Yes, my goal on the planet is, like, I feel like I'm in the know, you know, like, I feel like I have like the secret information, but like, it shouldn't be secret. I want worldwide, this should be common knowledge. And so while I do see clients, I'm like you, like, I have a few clients that I can see, but mainly I train. And so my goal is actually to start training at high-end resorts and have exclusivity contracts with certain companies. And so the goal is to have the exact protocol that I found available all over the world. Right now you can book with me, and I do travel for clients, and I serve like tri-state areas when I'm in an area. And so if it is a good fit, I'm always happy to serve that way. But my main goal is to put the tools in your hands. Like, I want everyday people who don't get massage on a regular basis to be able to have at-home Lymph techniques that they can do for their own health, for their own wellness, because it's physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, sexual, reproductive, and hormonal. It governs all of those things. And so if you could do one thing for 15 minutes a day that addressed your well-being in all of those areas, imagine how much healthier the world could be if we all had that knowledge.
Just one day. I mean, just for a few minutes a day. And the same thing with like Ashi with partners. It's like people like, I don't, you know, like, oh, my husband or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, lay in bed, lay your husband right there, and then just put your heel on him. You guys can massage each other at home too. You know, that's what I wanted. I want to remind people this, you got to do this at home. This is it's the stuff you do every day. intentionally setting an intention every day is the stuff that's going to change your life for the better.
Absolutely. And that's why it's all called practice, right? Because you don't do it one time, you have to practice to get the results you're looking for.
We have to practice.
Yes, yes. Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so much. This conversation has been so much fun. And I'll just be honest, like I hadn't personally met you until like we signed up for this call. Like I posted in the Ashiatsu group on Facebook. I was like, hey, I need an instructor. Like I have to talk about Ashi on the show. Yes. And you appeared and popped up, and like I'm so happy I know you. Like I love your hair, I love your energy, I just love your perspective on everything about massage and life, and I'm just so happy we're friends now.
I know, I'm obsessed with you. You might get some calls from me asking questions. I'm going to be your friend.
Absolutely. Ask me anything you want, like anytime.
I'm so inspired. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for being on with us. And is there anything else you want us to know before we hop off the call today?
No, I just want everybody to know that you can do stuff at home. Like you said, self-care. If you're interested in Ashi, go find an Ashi therapist through deepfeet.com. Try it, experience it. If you're a massage therapist, even go receive it. Go maybe find an Ashi person to trade with, just so you can experience it. But you don't have to before you take a class, because I never experienced it either. I just knew I was going to do it and I loved it. But yeah, just love yourself, take care of yourself. That's it, number one.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Just one more time for the people in the back. Massage therapists, don't forget to trade. Like we all need self-care. So let's plant those little reminder seeds that, yes, don't just take care of everyone around you. You cannot fill from an empty cup. So yes, yes, yes. If you are a massage therapist, you're probably one of the most picky people in the world about getting a massage, which doesn't make it any easier. So yeah, if you're one of those picky people who are like, oh, I love massage, but it's so hard to find someone who can meet my needs, who can do it well. So I'm not sitting there the whole time thinking about what I wish they were doing. I'm just like enjoying every moment. Go find an Ashi therapist if you are that person. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I promise you, you're going to get 10 times more out of it than the investment that you give. And that's true for clients too. But yes, like one of my main things is self-care. So whether you're a client or a therapist, just please always remember your self-care. And I will wish you happy holidays, sweetie. And thank you so much for being with us today.
You too. I'm obsessed. I'm gonna bother you.
Yeah, it's not a bother. Please do.
Okay. Thank you.